Okay, Sister Iman is back from Belgium. Go ahead, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, barakallah fiki.
Alhamdulillah. My question is, if it is obligatory upon us to give da'wah to our neighbors who are non-Muslim, like, should we really speak with them about Islam, and can they blame us on the Day of Judgment, like, and say like they were good neighbors, but they never came speak with us?
Right, mashallah.
That's my question. And how should we do this?
Sure, inshallah. This is
Okay, Jazakallah.
wa iyyakum, barakallah fikum. A question from Sister Iman, which is a very important question, especially for those who live in the West. As you see that when a Muslim live among non-Muslims, there are more challenges or more obligations sometimes come up with matters of knowledge. You know, things that a person, for example, living among Muslims, he doesn't have to know about it, like the doubtful matters, the things that people spread against the deen of Islam. But when you're faced with all kinds of attacks on the deen of Allah, then it's an obligation upon you to have extra knowledge of how to refute such evil talks, for example. And one of which is the subject of the da'wah, calling others to the deen of Allah. We have to understand the reality of where we live and the environment that we live in. So if people choose to be in such environments, then they have to have that concern towards others. And one of which is we really need to focus on what is the purpose of our life, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not created in this world to just eat and drink and enjoy, and that's the end of it. We have an obligation. So the decent person, the sincere person, he has concern towards others. So the da'wah is basically the nasiha and the concern towards others, how to be a mean of guidance for others. As the prophets of Allah, they were sent as mercy to mankind, as the Prophet ﷺ was sent as a mercy to mankind. But the prophets of Allah, they were not always welcomed from the people, and they become very grateful that they are inviting them to the truth. Actually, it's the opposite, as we see in the Quran. People ridiculed them, they turned them away, they even tortured them in some cases, and things of that nature. So, having said that, the subject of the da'wah is a heavy one. Why? Because you might not see people pleased with you if you give them da'wah. So that's why if it's done with wisdom. First of all, neighbors. There are rights of the neighbors, especially those who are neighbors to you. They have rights upon you. The rights upon you is, with regards to the neighbors, is for them to be protected from any harm comes from you. So no loud noise, no throwing trash, no whatever, anything that bothers the neighbors. And according to the culture that the people are in, some cultures, the neighbors, it doesn't harm them, for example, to do certain things, but others, it's harmful. So to protect them from any harm that comes from your side. And that's not enough, that's only halfway. The other half is basically to do something, to do acts of goodness and kindness to the neighbors as part of their right upon you, regardless what the neighbor is, whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims or whatever. And the closer the neighbor is, the more that they should see the goodness of the person. And that also is different from one environment to the other. So we need to get to know what is the norm in the culture, what is considered to be something very generous, very nice, very kind. You know, there is a universal language, for example, the smile when a person sees a person. The comfort that people receive when you smile to them, when you say greetings to them, when giving gifts in a way that doesn't basically go beyond the privacy and the space that sometimes people they want to have for themselves. So things that brings goodness and comfort without them thinking that you want something from them. So building the relationship with that intention. If they're sick, you visit them. If they need help, you help them. You do things extra, things of goodness, and all of that sets the way, not that they would see from this so they would embrace the deen of Islam, but one of the great purpose of da'wah, right, is to get the person accept or listen to what you're going to say. So if you remove all the different obstacles from you and that person, then when you speak, at least he would listen. Guidance is in the hands of Allah, and that's the purpose of the da'wah. So once that is present, and they would listen to what you say, this can be done directly or indirectly. Or by the actions and the samt and the appearance of a Muslim, people would know that you are a Muslim. For example, the women, they wear hijab, the person goes to the masjid. certain things are to be observed, and that can create a conversation basically when a person, for example, give them a gift or something during a holiday of the Muslims and they ask, what is this? Oh, this is basically what Islam is, and then you give them a pamphlet, you give them a mushaf, a Quran, whether for them to understand from this that you're just trying to get them to know who you are, but with your intentions that you try to invite them to get to know the truth of the deen of Islam, and it takes one thing or the other. Are you responsible? Yes, we are responsible. And we are responsible with the subject of da'wah. And the da'wah is an obligation that upon the ummah, if it's fulfilled, then everybody is okay. If it's not fulfilled, then it becomes sinful for the person not to convey. And the da'wah is to convey, just to convey the truth. And as we say, it's one of the basic human rights. Human rights, we know how the subject of the human rights is very important. One of the important human rights for human beings is to get to know the truth. Because many of them have been deceived. They have been given the wrong perception about the deen of Islam. Look at, for example, in the West. Most of the people, they have a distorted image of the deen of Islam. They have been lied against when it comes to the deen of Islam. Isn't the rights of these human beings to get to know really what the deen of Islam is? This is their rights. They have been lied to. They have been deceived by those who control media and things of that nature. When they talk about Islam, they lie about the deen of Islam. So then it's the duty of the Muslim, not someone else, not non-Muslims, for them to explain to them what Islam is. For a Muslim, by his speech and his actions, to clarify these misconceptions. And it's the rights of the people to get to know that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. But yes, it's a responsibility. And how to do that? This can give some guidelines of how to do it, and to be gradual in the matter, and to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One of the gates of khair, as we heard, is to give charity, is to pray at night, and to have that concern, and to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.